Hello, folks. I'm back. I'm John. Lightning Talks will be starting in just a minute here. While we're waiting, feel free to post any fun comments about how you feel about Hackcon, what you've been doing today, what you thought of the discussions, and I'll call them out live on stream. Um, I personally have really been enjoying Hackcon. I've loved all of the workshops and lightning talks. I've gotten to listen to all of them here on the main stage. But I'd love to hear from all of you too. So I'm watching chat and I'll be calling out interesting comments there. So feel free to chime in. And we'll be kicking off our last block of lightning talks in about a minute. Or we can just dance to this like chill music. The waiting music is pretty nice. We got quiet chat today. 5, Will says. Thank you, Nathan. I'm glad you're watching the Twitch chat here. It's a great playlist. I feel like it's on point here. I think Will put this together. It's some nice, like, chill beat. Okay, we're going to give people a little more time to filter in because that announcement just went out in Discord, and then we will kick off. Will, where exactly did you source all of this incredible music from? Oh man, Mary's excited for this round of Lightning Talks. I'm excited too. We have 3 incredible Lightning Talks coming up for you in just a minute. This is from the wonderful Happy Move from Soundstripe. Well, it is an accurate description. You're right there. After these lightning talks, we will have a Q&A session, and then we'll be doing, I think, what is our last round of workshops. Very sad, but I'm sure they're going to be incredible. So make sure you stick around for those workshops after this. I'm feeling the hype. Okay. On that note, Mary says it looks like some of our discussions are still wrapping up, so we will give them a second to finish their engaging discussions and join us here. Oh yeah, I'm looking at Discord. There's still a lot of people in discussion. So we'll have to wait for them to come back before we kick off. I don't want them to miss any of the lightning talk. Feel free to post comments in chat that you want me to feature on stream. As I've mentioned before, I am John. I am one of the co-founders of MLH. I've really been enjoying Hackcon this year. I think this is my 10th Hackcon. You can find me on social media at, where's that thing there? Whoop. The screen is reversed. There's my handle, John Marco, on all the social media platforms. We will be kicking off Lightning Talks, our last batch of Lightning Talks, momentarily. After that, we will have our final batch of workshops, and then we'll end Hackcon with a closing ceremony. Oh no. Very sad. But there's always next year, and there's always all of the relationships you build along the way. Looks like one of our discussions is still finishing up. I will give them one more second here. It looks like they're having a really in-depth conversation about diversity and inclusion. Glad to see that. If you just joined, feel free to post comments. I'll feature them on stream. How are you feeling about Hackcon? What's been your favorite part so far? Anything like that that you think is going to be fun to hear about. I'm also happy to answer questions while we wait for that discussion to finish up. Post in chat, what's your favorite part of Hackcon so far? I like the music. Music's good. The content is really good. Ooh, I just spilled seltzer all over my keyboard. That's not good. Someone said the discussions are their favorite part. The discussions are indeed incredible. Blahaj tank was amazing, but perhaps there's some bias there. I did see a really interesting discussion in the Brand Makers channel with Evan, one of our sponsors, about how to get branded Blahaj discs. I don't know the proper pluralization of that. Marbles on Stream was incredible, even though I came in 23rd place. That was really disappointing. The workshops have all been amazing. The lightning talks have been amazing, and we have a couple more of each starting shortly. I will give those last discussion participants a minute to filter in because it looks like they just ended, and then we will kick off. And feel free to keep posting your comments there of what your favorite part of Hackcon is, and we will feature them on stream. We are also tallying up all of the color war points right now, so we should have more to share about that in a little bit. I'm Team Red, even though I'm wearing a blue shirt today. My red shirt was, dirty because I wore it all day yesterday, but I'm still Team Red. Go Red. Alrighty, I feel like we can kick this off now. I am so excited to introduce to you your last block of lightning talk, but certainly not the end of Hackcon. We have a couple more sessions after this. We will have 3 lightning talks in this block, and then we will have group Q&A. So try to think of questions for the presenters, post them in chat, post them in Discord, and we will gather them up and ask them live at the end of this block. So without further ado, I would love to kick off your first lightning talk speaker, Isabel, talking about 4 ways you can support your hackers. So give your full attention. Feel free to post comments or questions in the chat and enjoy.
Hi everyone, you can call me Isa, and I have been involved in the hackathon space for about 2 years now. I've been to 36 hackathons and have won 11 times. I'm also a lead organizer of CUNY Hackathon and a sponsorship general member for Tech Together New York. These accomplishments made me earn a spot in MLH's top 50 inaugural class. Hackers participate in our hackathons for many reasons. We provide an experience that is the best combination of creating, learning, engaging, and networking. Our goal as hackathon organizers is to deliver that kind of event to our participants. In order to do that, we employ strategies related to fundraising, scheduling, swag, prizes, and more. I would like to share 4 other strategies that you can use to support your hackers. 1, you should lean on recruiting opportunities when pitching to potential sponsors. You'll want to give your hackers the chance to network with the sponsor representatives, and in extension, help their job or internship applications stand out. This will increase their odds of getting the role that they were aiming for. On the other hand, the companies that you bring to the hackathon will get their first choice of applicants from a competitive talent pool. 68% of students have looked for a job at a hackathon. As someone who has also job searched at a hackathon, I have made it my goal to create a career fair or sponsor expo for the hackers. I want them to meet and get to know different kinds of companies or organizations, seeing as some of them might not have access to such resources. 2, when hosting workshops, make sure to include career development focused ones. This can be something like how to present your hackathon experience on your resume, or how to make a portfolio, or a LinkedIn review. During CUNY Hackathon last January, my team and I hosted an informal fireside chat on product management, but it turned into a casual conversation on internships, and we shared tips on how to make hackers' applications stand out. This allowed my team to not only educate our hackers, but also connect and socialize with them, since we all know how important engagement with hackers can be. I believe these workshops are more valuable because they're not just for the hackathon.
Hey folks, I need to apologize. It looks like the video is lagging out for people. I don't exactly know what's going on, but I'm going to uh, restart this browser window and then try again because it seems like it's just lagging out in Chrome. I apologize. We're going to replay this talk and then we will keep going. Give me 1 second. Alrighty, and I'm back. Hopefully the connection is a little bit better now. Chrome was just lagging out like crazy just there. I'm going to start Issa's talk over because of technical difficulties on my end. I do apologize again, and hopefully it's smoother this time around. So let's kick that off.
Hi, everyone. You can call me Isa, and I have been involved in the hackathon space for about 2 years now. I've been to 36 hackathons and have won 11 times. I'm also a lead organizer of CUNY Hackathon and a sponsorship general member for Tech Together New York. These accomplishments made me earn a spot in MLH's top 50 inaugural class. Hackers participate in our hackathons for many reasons. We provide
Hey, my computer is not cooperating today and it is laggy. I am so sorry. We're going to try this one more time from a different computer.
Hi, everyone. You can call me Isa, and I have been involved in the hackathon space for about 2 years now. I've been to 36 hackathons and have won 11 times. I'm also a lead organizer of CUNY Hackathon and a sponsorship general member for Tech Together New York. These accomplishments made me earn a spot in MLH's top 50 inaugural class. Hackers participate in our hackathons for many reasons. We provide an experience that is the best combination of creating, learning, engaging, and networking. Our goal as hackathon organizers is to deliver that kind of event to our participants. In order to do that, we employ strategies related to fundraising, scheduling, swag, prizes, and more. I would like to share 4 other strategies that you can use to support your hackers. 1. You should lean on recruiting opportunities when pitching to potential sponsors. You'll want to give your hackers the chance to network with the sponsor representatives, and in extension, help their job or internship applications stand out. This will increase their odds of getting the role that they were aiming for. On the other hand, the companies that you bring to the hackathon will get their first choice of applicants from a competitive talent pool. 68% of students have looked for a job at a hackathon. As someone who has also job searched at a hackathon, I have made it my goal to create a career fair or sponsor expo for the hackers. I want them to meet and get to know different kinds of companies or organizations, seeing as some of them might not have access to such resources. 2, when hosting workshops, make sure to include career development focused ones. This can be something like how to present your hackathon experience on your resume, or how to make a portfolio or a LinkedIn review. During CUNY Hackathon last January, my team and I hosted an informal fireside chat on product management, but it turned into a casual conversation on internships, and we shared tips on how to make hackers' applications stand out. This allowed my team to not only educate our hackers, but also connect and socialize with them, since we all know how important engagement with hackers can be. I believe these workshops are more valuable because they're not just for the hackathon. The advice and lessons the participants get from these workshops are applicable to their entire professional career or career in the making. 3, while this will be a logistically challenging ask, I would suggest getting judges and others to leave feedback on hackers' projects. One way to do this is raffling a small prize for people who comment feedback on others' dev posts. This will incentivize participants to get to know other people's projects and allow hackers to receive feedback on their projects. Recruiting more judges and providing them more time to judge would also allow them to leave at least 1 to 2 minutes of feedback on the project. Providing feedback allows our hackers to improve more in the long run and allows them to reflect on their strengths and weaknesses. And finally, 4, encourage your mentors to continue supporting your participants even beyond the weekend of the event. If a mentor connects with a student well during the event, you could encourage them to create a relationship outside of the event, which fosters a genuine, organic mentorship long-term. Students are more likely to succeed with the right guidance, support, and mentorship. Now, I'm not just referring to the professional volunteers that answer technical questions. I'm also referring to the more experienced hackers that take beginner hackers under their wing and show them the ropes. Encouraging experienced hackers to work with beginners brings advantages to both parties as they are both learning from each other. With these tips, I hope you can bring an even better, more rounded experience for your hackers during your next hackathon. But also, don't forget to take care of yourselves and have fun, fellow organizers.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Issa. We got the remix there of starting and stopping. I apologize for the technical difficulties, but I really enjoyed that talk. Next up, we have Nathan talking about how to include high schoolers at your hackathon. So let's give it up for Nathan and hope we don't have some more tech problems. Yay!
Hello everyone, and welcome to High Schoolers at Your Hackathon, or How to Get Them When They're Young. I'm Nathan Dimmer. I started doing hackathons in 2018, and since then I've participated in over 30 hackathons and since become an MLH coach. So over the past 3 years, I've had plenty of experience in the high school hacker experience, and I want to talk to you about that today. And you might be wondering, why does the high school hackathon experience matter? Well, specifically right now, over the past year, there have been so many virtual hackathons that have opened up hackathons to so many new students, a lot of them high school students, and they've had a taste of it and they're coming back for more. So as your event's going back in person or hybrid, high school students are going to want to participate in your event, and in this talk, I'm going to show you how you can help them either participate or know that they can't participate. So the first thing we want to talk about is before the hackathon. And before the hackathon, you want to make sure you're clearly stating your requirements. And this breaks down to 2 points. One is who is allowed. So a lot of hackathons list on their website that we are a hackathon for all students. Well, that's super confusing because some of those hackathons actually are for all students, including high school students, and some of them aren't. So what is a better way of phrasing that is to specifically state college students, college and high school students, specifically state the type of student that you're looking for. Or something that's even better and more specific is saying students 18 and older. So you aren't phrasing based on which stage in the education process they are, but age. Because usually the thing that is preventing high schoolers and minors from participating in hackathons is not actually their schooling status, but rather their age for insurance and for the venue purposes. The second thing is to clearly state on your website, either when registering or when logging in, what the paperwork you require from people is, because most minors need their parents to fill out that paperwork for them. So if you need them to fill out a photo release form or an insurance waiver, make sure you let them know about that up front so they can have that all set up for you. Second, bonus points. You can also provide resources on your website while they are registering or logging in or signing up, and that provides them the confidence to go to your hackathon with a little bit of experience and knowledge going into it, even if they haven't done a lot of programming before. And this helps all new hackers, not just high schoolers. That's why you get bonus points for providing resources. Second, after that, you want to have a good experience during the hackathon. And to do that, you need to have a consistent experience. So first, you want to make sure your check-in matches what you talk about before in your registration process. So you want to make sure you're using your required info during check-in. So if you said in your registration process that you require a photo ID, that photo release waiver you were talking about, make sure you actually ask for that in your check-in process. Also, you want to make sure that you educate your team. Make sure that everyone who is dealing with check-in knows what the process and the requirements are for check-in of everyone, including high school students, so there's no mixed communication. After that, during the hackathon, you want to make sure that you have subtle accountability. So usually, as a hackathon, you are required to have more accountability over the minors attending your event, specifically for venue and insurance purposes, than for the adults attending your event. And one of the best ways that I've seen a lot of hackathons do this is just with subtle different colored wristbands and doing things like attendance or making sure that minors can't leave the venue after dark. But I would like to point out that I'm not going to specifically tell you what you should do to have this subtle accountability, because it needs to work for your team and what you need to fulfill requirements-wise in terms of, again, insurance and venue. The main thing to remember for this, though, is that high school hackers are hackers. So if you can include them as much as possible, so don't separate them away from all your college hackathons to keep track of them. Try including them with the full event. And then if you do need to do something specific, like, hey, you can't leave the venue after dark, explain the why. Hey, it's for insurance purposes. Because explaining that why helps take away the sting and helps them understand what's happening. So number 3, the main takeaway of everything that I've talked about during this short talk is clear communication. So you want to explain the who of who can attend your hackathon, how of how they can attend your hackathon, and the why of why you're doing what you're doing at that hackathon. And if you do that, you can help both high school students understand whether they can participate in your hackathon and have an amazing experience along with other hackers as well. Thank you so much for attending and have an amazing Hackcon.
Alrighty, thank you, Nathan, for that incredible talk. And now our last lightning talk of Hackcon, coming up live on the stream from Shubhangi, talking about how to be an inclusive organizer. I'm excited.
Hi everyone, I'm Shubhangi and today I'll be talking about how you can be an inclusive organizer. I've been the organizer of Hackcon 2.0 and have been in the hackathon space for over 3 years. So I will be talking a bit about diversity and inclusion. So I was attending this talk at the beginning of my hackathon journey and someone quoted that diversity is inviting people to a party and inclusion is asking them to dance. Oftentimes we disregard the underrepresented groups in our hackathons. So what to do? A fun way to make them feel included is to have certain activities that are specifically focused towards them. Having non-technical activities such as mascot challenges and meme-making contests help beginners and participants who are from a non-technical background to participate. Women and underrepresented groups feel more comfortable in interactive sessions like I Am Remarkable. And having activities which is focused on certain regions is definitely good. For example, if we had a Bollywood quiz in India, it would definitely help us break the ice. The next thing that you can do is have specific communication channels which are oriented towards these groups. These groups feel very hesitant when asking questions, so having specific communication channels help them boost their confidence. And if they can converse in their native language, that will help remove the language barrier and hence increase the interaction. What organizers can do is have some question prompts already prepared before the hackathon, so it's easier for them to engage. Volunteers can promote engagement by constantly asking them if they're all right and being supportive. Know that these underrepresented groups might not be from your very close area, so they might have different opinions. The next thing that the organizers can do is be supportive. It is often noticed that underrepresented groups are hesitant to address their queries, so having specific mentorship sessions for them would help them learn more, and having volunteers who can personally interact with them and motivate these hackers to participate would encourage participation in the hackathons. It is often noticed that these participants would not submit their project because they feel inferior, so mentors can give their project a review and encourage them to submit their project. And organizers can check in during and after the hackathon with these participants and ask them to submit their project or see what's going on and help them with it. So to summarize, we can have focused activities, have specific communication channels, and support these hackers. So I hope the next time you're invited to a party, you do get to dance. And thank you. You can feel free to connect with me.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm going to bring all of your speakers on now to answer some questions. They all gave incredible talks there. I really enjoyed them. We've been gathering some questions up in the background here, but you can feel free to post them in the Twitch chat as well. I'm going to start off with a question here for Nathan. We have a really global audience here at Hackcon. How do you think about recruiting younger students from around the world, right? Because you talked a lot about like the event-specific stuff. How do you deal with that remotely and virtually?
So I think one of the best things for recruiting younger students in general is to just like almost treat them as if they're older. Don't talk down to them, because one of the big things that brought me to the hackathon space when I was a high school student was the fact that I felt like I could kind of be with the big kids basically and feel like I could actually make something that was real and it wasn't like a school project. It didn't feel fake. So by reaching out as a real opportunity and kind of showing yourself almost like, I don't want to say the professional side, but the real growth and opportunities that hackathons provide, and just not specifically like talking down.
Awesome. Yeah, I completely agree. Um, I feel like too often in school, people treat younger people like kids, right? When they actually have a lot more to contribute. Um, yeah, I completely agree with this comment here. Uh, Next question we have here is for Isa. Um, so, you know, how do you get non-coders involved with your hackathons, right? Because you talked a lot about ways to kind of like support your hackers and make it a really good environment. But what about people who don't have confidence in their coding abilities or have never coded before?
That's a really good question, and I believe my time with CUNY Hackathon helped me with answering this question because, for example, some things that we did to involve the non-CS majors in our hackathon were tracks that specifically catered to hobbies or activities or other majors that weren't tech related. So they could be subject matter experts instead of full-on coders. Or if they did want to have the coding experience, even though they weren't CS majors. We had beginner workshops specifically catered to them and things of that nature.
Awesome. That's really great. Um, our next question here is for Shivangi. Uh, how do you find out if someone's needs weren't met at your event, and what do you do to address that for future?
Okay, so like I said in my presentation, that the organizers should constantly check in with any underrepresented groups that they know are participating in the hackathon. And if during the hackathon you were unable to find out, just send out a survey form at the end of the hackathon and keep in mind the next time you're organizing a hackathon that those needs are met.
Yeah, definitely. We have another question here for Isa. Um, how do you think about making virtual events inclusive versus in-person events, and what are some of the potential benefits and also risks of that transition?
So one of the things that I really like about online events is that they are more inclusive in the sense of geography. We can invite anyone around the world, and everyone is in the same playing field, in the same space. Um, Whereas in-person events, we have to worry about travel and stuff like that, and it's really limiting in that way. However, online events are also more difficult to become engaging. So it's hard to, as Shubhangi said, be more supportive of your hackers from afar. You can't like physically see them, for example, struggling with a project or getting lost. So in those ways, we aren't as easily inclusive during online events.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you. Our next question here is for Nathan. You kind of mentioned earlier that you know people are in the habit of kind of talking down to younger folks, right? And there's definitely a culture, at least in American high schools or middle schools, of uh, not allowing students a lot of ownership or autonomy over what goes on at their schools. So, how do you actually get people to have permission from the adults in their lives to not only throw events but also participate in them?
So this is where like this is why I love in-person events specifically for the team building that happens that is kind of harder to do online, because once you have a team building exercise where someone is being like chosen or approached, like it was that moment that I was kind of like, oh, like I'm not an other here. I was approached to be on this person's team because I have skills and like I can actually help them. And it was that like just the inherent inclusivity of hackathon teams and forming those teams kind of gives permission of like, oh, you are a part of this as well. You are on this team.
Yeah, that's a great approach. And I think this will be our last question here for Shubhangi. Um, you talked about a lot of great strategies for making your community inclusive and how you can be inclusive as an organizer. How do you ensure that those strategies become part of the DNA of your community, right? Like, how do you ensure that when you're gone with all of your expertise, that everyone else can make the community just as inclusive as you did?
I think the recipe here is to have a really good team. At Hackcon 2.0, we had a really good team who all had similar visions and were really inclusive and were really supportive. So I think having a really good team and a set of volunteers is really good, and having the first close community, they kind of carry forward your values. So that's really important that you make a good team to start with.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much. If anyone has other questions, I think all three of them are in Discord. Feel free to hit them up. And again, I really enjoyed your lightning talks. We'll have them online for recording later. Oh, we have one last question in chat. I want to get to this. I don't know who this is for, but perhaps whoever feels most relevant can answer it. What about working in an organizing team with high school students, high school and college students? What are common gaps and strengths in this dynamic? I guess this is for Nathan now that I read it.
So I guess one of the big things is the main pitfalls are in the perspective that you're bringing to it, especially if it's a hybrid or in-person event, because high school students like traditionally have a very different view on like spaces and things like that, because in college you get a much more like you have a much more control over the space that you're in because you're going to that college, because you're choosing to go there. You can find venues, things like that. And high schoolers, it's a lot more asking for permission of the adults in the room. So I guess one of that's one of the big differences, which doesn't really exist in online hackathons. But one of the big strengths is that you get such a diverse area of perspectives of where you're coming from. A lot of college, high school hackathon organizers have certain experiences in the hackathon community and in programming in general that they automatically bring just based on what they've had in the past. And high school students can kind of provide a fresh view because they haven't experienced that in the past before, and they can see new solutions.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We will end it there. Again, thank you to all of our speakers. Huge round of applause. And find them on Discord if you have more questions. Next up, we will be doing our final workshop block of Hackcon 9. We will be having 2 workshops in parallel here. On this stage, we will have Cecilia talking about, let me double check the title here. We're going to be talking about tuning into the trends. And on the red stage, we'll have Joy talking about empowering beginners and first-time hackathon attendees. So we'll be splitting for those 2 workshops here. I'm going to hand this off to Amanda, who is going to help Cecilia get set up. If you're interested in either talk, again, on this stage, we'll have tuning into the trends with Cecilia. And on the red stage, empowering beginners and first-time hackathon attendees with Joy. So we will break for that, and they will start in just a few minutes. So thank you all, and enjoy the workshops.
Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome back to Hackcon. It is my pleasure to introduce one of our final workshops of the event. With me, I'm going to bring her up on stream in just a second, is Cecilia Laplace, who is going to give a fantastic presentation I've been so looking forward to about tuning into the trends. So without further ado, let me go ahead and bring on Cecilia. Here she comes. Hi,
Hey,
Cecilia.
everyone. Hello. So you already took my good morning, afternoon, and evening, so we'll skip that part. So am I ready to go?
Yeah, you are. The floor is yours. I can't wait to see it.
Cool. Well, if the screen is shared, there's a Pear Deck instance up, and so I highly encourage you to join it so that way you can interact with the activity I have with you today. I'm super looking forward to seeing everybody tune to the trends with me today. We've got lots of sheets to cover today, in between some crowd singing takeovers. So I'm looking forward to hearing your voices during the activity sessions, although it'll be through text, so be prepared to sing loud and proud. And before I really get into it, while I'm still giving people some time to hopefully join that Pear Deck session, I want to give a quick shout out to my friend Joy, whose workshop I can't attend because I'm giving mine. So I know she's going to do awesome, and if you want to reach out to beginner hackers at your event, definitely go check her presentation out. But for those of you that remain, as a brief overview, this workshop is designed for every type of community that we have, whether they're young or old, Blahaj gang, or SunX, or others. There's different approaches to collecting data or leveraging past data to inform the future of your community. And this workshop is going to help you get a guided plan on paper. You could be just starting out and have no participant data at all, or you've joined a hackathon that's been running for years and you're realizing you don't know if what your team does works, or plenty of other things. The activities are designed to see both angles while still coming up with a plan just for you. If we have some time, I'll go over conceptually what you can do with the data that you're hoping to use. So feel free to take some notes. But first on our set list is meeting me. Hi, I'm Cecilia Laplace, and if you're not familiar with my work from previous Hackcons, I'm going to make sure that you walk away with at least one memorable moment from my presentation through creative means, namely horrible puns and cheesy drawings. And if you're not familiar with Sunhacks, you totally should be. We do lots of magic and miracle working, or so we're told. We have lots of new members, and we'd love for the organizer community to show them what we mean by this is an amazing community to be a part of. But as a PhD student studying hackathons, I've had a lot of time to hold different roles at Sunhacks, from hacker experience to co-lead and now to DEI. But my side gig is being a software engineer, because art doesn't pay the bills, sadly. My lovely assistant manager is Peanut, and you might see her looking around keeping the peace on stage. And I do plenty of other things, but we can talk about that off stage later if we haven't chatted already. As for why I'm giving this talk, my PhD coursework gave me these skills, and I think we as organizers can benefit from learning how to leverage the data that we already collect and start understanding more about our own events and communities. So I'm giving you the not classroom intensive version to get people thinking about the role that data plays. We're entering a different age, and what better way to keep up with tech than to do what they're doing? All right, so we're getting to the first crescendo and the end of the intro. You're here for a real treat. We all lead communities, and we owe it to them and to ourselves to surround them with the right kind of music, the kind that reaches every heart and soul and makes them come to every show, meet and greet, and more. But as the musicians behind the show, it's our job to make it as safe but enticing as possible. So how do we set the stage behind the scenes using data? Well, why don't we rock and roll onto our track list and see how we'll cover that today. We'll start by going over data and what it is. We'll jump into how we collect it by orchestrating, conducting a lot of different things. We'll talk about how music data makes the world go round, and also what we need to be aware of. So data helps us, but there's some caveats we need to consider. We'll jump right into an activity to go over what do we want to target and what do we want to understand. And we'll refine what we did through an iterative next stage and finding a good rhythm. And of course, we'll kind of go to a more serious topic and talk about ethics. But it's really close to making sure that, well, it's really important. But seriousness aside, if we have enough time, we'll talk right about the bonus track, or maybe an encore, about finding the right, or you might use the stuff that you're collecting. Now, data is quite literally everything, everywhere, every time. Zeros and ones and letters and sentences and stories, and oh my goodness, there's so much. Characteristics, descriptions, everything we see, touch, taste, sense, everything is data. But what can we as community leaders and organizers personally and specifically target? And the answer is personally identifiable information, which we kind of already collect when you think about it. But what PII actually is it's anything that you can use to identify directly or indirectly about an individual. However, data can also take the form of likes or dislikes, opinions, and thoughts. I wasn't kidding. It really is everything. But I actually want to take a moment to note that depending on where you're at, with your hackathon, your community, what you have, and what you need vary. A first-year hackathon may not have best data to work with, and a 5-year hackathon may have some data, but not data that would inform them of targeted questions. So what can we target? Before we jump into that, let's talk about how we collect things. And the way we do that is through surveys and forms. And we can actually do that quantitative and qualitatively. And these terms are pretty important to remember. But the gist behind it is quantitative is numbers. So your likes and dislikes can be rated on a scale of 1 to 5 or 1 to 7 or -1 to 1 if you want to be that way. It can also be for agreements or disagreements, whereas qualitative is more about language, words, explanations, opinions, the details behind why someone chose something. And something that many of us are familiar with is registration, which is right where we collect all our PII. Name, phone number, address, ethnicity, gender, the list goes on. It's kind of a lot. But something else that tech uses that we may not actively employ, but it depends on if we want to and what it could bring us. Things like cookies. We see them every day. We use them every day. In fact, you're probably using it right now through Twitch, Facebook, or anything else. And they collect IP addresses, device information, and plenty more. But that doesn't mean that we actually have to use this stuff, specifically cookies. I wouldn't recommend it just off the bat. So I'll give you a quick example. SunHacks collects demographics through our registration, and we usually present an aggregate or a summary of gender, ethnicity, and university of attendance to our sponsors so they can know who they're reaching. Seems pretty simple. But let's talk a little more about data, and let's dig into the specifics. Data totally helps us. It helps us identify trends, hi, meta joke, recurring patterns, weird outliers like, wow, people really didn't like this workshop, and plenty more. It understands where things went super right or super wrong, and why. Because if we don't learn from our past mistakes or why it is something was so great, how can we continue to make our events bigger and better than ever? And more importantly, all of this stuff combines just to plan for the future to use these findings as evidence, which we've totally learned from the last 2 years. Anyway, data can also be pretty hard to manage when you're collecting it without purpose. And what I mean is there's tons and tons of tech companies and other companies out there who are collecting massive amounts of data. But when you think about what they're doing with it and on the scale that they're at, do you think they're using it effectively? By the same token, we're individuals, small teams. Maybe we're lucky and we have a 50-person team. But if we don't know how to manage all that data, there's also a risk of it being harmful. The more people that are involved in touching the data, the more likely it could be harmful if it's not handled correctly or safely. And what I mean by that is make sure it's password protected. Make sure you don't get hacked. There's plenty of instances of that happening too, and that is one downside to tech and the data you collect. But most importantly, and most dangerous thing of all, is that if you collect unknowingly or you collect maliciously, it's incredibly invasive because you're collecting, or you might even be sharing, sensitive or illegal data. All right, serious moments aside, let's jump straight into an activity. So I had you join Pear Deck so that way I could interact with you all. We're all in a virtual environment. I've had some people use this, so we're all experimenting today in true hackathon form. And I want to make sure that I get to see what everybody else is thinking, because this is a great idea for all of us to collaborate. So we're going to talk about what you want to target. And I want to know, what do you want to know? So for example, again, let's use SunHacks. We want to know, are we giving good workshops? Should we invite speaker A back? Could speaker A be good, but the workshop content that they gave is bad? Or even vice versa. Or maybe the speaker is kind of rough around the edges and the content wasn't so great. Or maybe everything was amazing. How do we know? So that's the second question. What can we ask to collect information about it? And so in that example, I actually want to reference Hack Arizona, who came up with this idea so many years ago, which I think that dates me now. They actually gave out originally, when I first went, a paper form that had you rate the speaker, the workshop content, and have any extra comments. And then they incentivized people filling it out through a raffle at the end of every workshop. Years later, they started using a Google form, asking the same questions, and it was a great way for them to know what speakers they wanted to bring back, what content was the most popular, and that's how they leveraged it each and every year. So the next 5 minutes or so, I want you to list what you know. And so with the slide, you can actually jump to it. This is student-led, so you can go ahead and jump ahead of the slide. Tell me, what do you want to know for your hackathon? And what can you ask to collect information about it? At the end of 5 minutes, I'm going to go through and look at them. They're all anonymous, so no judgment's going to happen. I can't tell who it is. You're all going to be named different bugs and fruits and other things, like kind of Google Drive. And yeah, we'll come back together. So again, if you don't have the code, definitely go to joinpd.com, type in FJWMJW, or follow their lovely, whatever that is, memorization. It's 8 in the morning or almost 9. My brain's tired. So yeah. And if you have questions about this activity, feel free to drop it in Twitch chat. I am checking that right now because I can take a moment to do so, and maybe I can add some clarification. But don't feel bad if you think they're bad questions. We'll go over that next activity. I am from ASU C. Raphael. I have been going there for years now. I feel even more old. I don't think there's anything wrong. There's nothing wrong with coming back to school, whatever age you are. Unfortunately, no Peanut. She did not come to support me in my endeavors. My cat is finicky. Oh wow, we had 10 students. Yes. All right, we got about 1 to 2 minutes, so start cleaning up your ideas. Don't like fully edit it. We're gonna go over that next activity, but just start wrapping up your thoughts. And I haven't seen anything yet because I can't actually go check it out. Just in case the questions are back up on stream. All right, I'm gonna come in and go look at stuff. So let's take a look at, whoa, lots of stuff. Cool. All right, let's get started. You can still keep editing if you want, but we're gonna scroll through and we'll tag on specific things. Workshops, checking the topic and presenter. I see you listening to me. Good job, you. I see your toucans. Yeah, so this is totally anonymous. Don't freak out. I'm super glad that you took the time to add stuff. So yay for all the people who have joined. I will do my best to go through as much as we can, but we do have a time limit because there is a closing ceremony right after this, and I don't want to eat into that. Sponsors, relevancy. That's a good idea. Non-technical activities, quality, content, quantity, totally fair. Food quality, all these are super good ideas. Accessibility concerns, yes, yes, I love it. We do need to be a more accessible community. Things participants felt were missing or overwhelming. Those are good ideas. I like it. All right, so this one is in black, so I'll read it off. You want to know, did our hackers feel welcome at our event? And during the event, when did you feel most welcome? When did you feel the least welcome? And on a scale of 1 to 5, how welcome did you feel? Okay, all right. Hello. Deleted response. Okay, another low contrast one. So I'll read this one out too. What are the things I should avoid asking? We're gonna get into that. How do you appropriately ask for race, gender, etc.? This actually would usually be in your registration because that is probably the only acceptable time to ask for it. And again, I did mention this earlier briefly about how you would summarize that information to separate PII, or personally identifiable information, or things that you can use to identify people directly or indirectly, and the stuff that you want to find out. So do you need to ask different questions based on age, like if some people are under 18? Kind of. It depends. The question you're probably going to ask people about age is, are you over the age of 18? Which then is a yes or no question. That's also usually in registration. Deleted response. Deleted response. Aw, I hoped I could have seen that. I guess people were figuring out because Pear Deck is new to, I'm sure, many of you. But these are good questions. And so I wanted to actually jump into giving you another potential avenue and give you maybe another minute to work on stuff. So what if you actually wanted to know if hackers feel more confident before or after the hackathon? What could you ask? And so some of you kind of hinted at that already. There is actually a whole field of research dedicated to understanding how confidence appears in different environments and circumstances. In fact, they're not always referred to as confidence. And they can be different types of quote unquote latent constructs. And so that's your vocab word for the day. So, and here's another vocab word. One of those instances is actually called self-efficacy, which is someone's belief in themselves that they can do something. So you might actually see things like, what is someone's engineering self-efficacy? But if you did want to go that route, you would actually have to go and look at the research to see what questions they're asking, because they've done all the work for you and you can just pick and choose and try and apply it. But let's jump into the next bit. So moving on to the next slide. So we're gonna use what you were using to do this activity. And there will be another activity right after this one, depending on how it is that you'd like to go about things. So go back to what you've written. Are the questions that you've written, if you had questions, I know some of you mostly had ideas, so maybe you'll start forming them into questions during this activity. Are they things that you can ask? So here's another example, and this is a bad example, and I'll give you a bit of a content warning. These questions may make you a little bit uncomfortable. So maybe this time I've asked speakers at SunHacks, or I've asked the hackers at SunHacks to tell me about the speaker quality. Except I've asked the following. What's the speaker's gender? Was the speaker dressed appropriately? What did you like about the speaker? Not the talk. What did you dislike about the speaker? Again, not the talk. Is that really all that helpful for us trying to determine speaker quality? Not really. But this is where targeting the right thing is helpful. So go back through the ideas that you've had, the questions that you've asked. Which ones might be concerning? And if so, think about kind of why. And if you're uncertain, I'd love for you to share or put it on the following slide. And that's just text entry, and you can type out what it is, whether it's your question or an item that you want to ask but you're not sure about or you want me to take a look at, post it there. But otherwise, go back to the slide you were working on and go ahead and reformat those into questions. And then I also want you to do it more targeted in the sense of explaining your questions. They're going to qualitative questions. So write it in that format where maybe it's tell me your top 3 favorite things about the talk. And then if you want to do something quantitatively, so scales, rating 1 through 5, rate how much you love the talk on a scale of hate, that's some strong wording, 1 to love, 5. And you might use different ways of identifying what 1 through 5 mean. So if you're, like I said, if you're stuck on whether the question is safe to ask, jump to the next slide, post them there, I'll walk through them, but otherwise, go back to what you've written and we'll roll through them again. And so you'll have about another 5-ish minutes or so for this. And once again, I'll be in Twitch chat if you have live questions, but at the end of about 5 minutes, I'll be checking both the redos and the questions that people have posted in the next slide. I should mention, you can ask multiple different questions to get to the same overarching thing you want to target. So maybe you want to say, tell me what you liked about the talk. Do you want the speaker to come again? You can do all these things. They all give you different perspectives on the same thing, which is what you're trying to understand, which could potentially be, was the workshop itself good or helpful? And so direct questions aren't always the best fit for your target, but there are sub-questions you can definitely clarify and ask because there's different facets to the way things appear. Y'all have got about 2 minutes, so start pulling your thoughts together, putting stuff on paper, slide, stuff. All right, 30 seconds. Write those things down. Ten seconds. We're almost there. And now I get to go through them again. Oh my gosh, there's more. Yes, I'm so excited. Cool. So, oh, you're still editing. Oh, you're making it nice to read. Yay. That makes me happy. Thank you so much. It's awesome. Cool. So it looks like you're kind of done editing. So I'll jump right in. I love the clarification on whether or not the presenter was clear. Is the title appropriate? Okay. Is the speaker knowledgeable? What if it's a speaker's first time giving the presentation? Just a devil's advocate question. Not saying it's bad, but it's a relevant question. Let's see. Sponsor do you work for? The appropriate number of company booths. Interesting. I'm not sure how that. Okay, so from the SunHacks perspective, I don't know that we would ask those questions, but it might be really important for you. So this is all y'all stuff. All right. Favorite non-technical event? Did you feel refreshed? A good number of breaks? So I have a challenge question about non-technical activities. How do you get people to attend to actually use those break moments? Because if they didn't attend one all weekend, would they say there was a number of break events? Who knows? Food quality, is it enough? Yes, good question. I would actually add to it and say, was my food allergy or food restriction respected or available? That might be something else to consider. Swag quality, 1 through 5, yep. Venue quality, number of bathrooms, other comments, yep. Open response for comments for accessibility concerns, yes. And I would also suggest, not related to this talk, in your registration, have a question for people to say, I need accommodations, and have them be able to answer what it is that they need. So that way they can communicate and they're not stuck trying to who to email, who to ask, and who knows. We've had plenty of those moments at SunHacks. Things, yep, open response. Yes, that's a great idea for those. All right. Okay, posted question example on next slide. No worries, we'll jump to that. Yes, the color. Cool. Workshop quality content, tech handling aspect. Interesting. We definitely needed that at SunHacks for troubleshooting, mining participant pace. Ooh, I like that one especially. That one is actually something that a lot of speakers struggle with. Hi, I'm one of those people. I hope I'm going at the appropriate pace for everybody. I think it's important because that's something we can give back to speakers and say, hey, here's some of the reviews from the people who have attended your talk, and maybe they can do something with it too. So that's another benefit of data collection, presuming it's done well and you're asking good questions. Remember, I asked some really uncomfortable questions earlier. Communication on the organizer side. Yes, I love the attention to organizers. Major or study in field inclusivity. Yes, absolutely great idea. You can collect basic demographics. That's usually through registration. Geography, gender, age, study, field major, study level, yes. So something we at SunHacks added to our study levels / school of attendance is actually community colleges, boot camps, and I believe one other that I'm totally blanking on. But that was a way that we tried to make ourselves more inclusive to the different types of education out there. I like it. I like it. These are good questions, y'all. Uh-oh. Okay, let's go ahead and jump to the free response. What was a high point for you during the event? Okay, what was a low point? Okay, so I'm guessing these are questions that you want me to go through, so we can definitely do that. So asking what a high point or low point was is a great qualitative question. You might get a variety of answers. High point was really surprised. The low point was not getting food or not having your food restriction respected, or there wasn't food for you. That's a possible answer. I think this is fine. You're not disrespecting any person or individual based on their beliefs, their identity, or anything, which is awesome. Did you learn something new during the event? If you ask that, someone can answer yes, and then not describe anything. If you want description, you could say, tell me about something new you learned during the event. But if you just want a yes or no, then that's a totally applicable question. Were you lost at the event? I think you might be able to break down this question into a couple discrete ones. So maybe were you lost at the event is your target question, but there's a couple sub-questions you can come up with. Maybe someone who's not sure what to do could be, I didn't feel supported by mentors. I didn't know how to interact with the volunteers. And so you could say rate on a scale of agreement, or you could say, did you feel like you weren't sure what to do during the workshops? And target specific things that someone might interact with or might not interact with at all. Because if they didn't know it existed, then there's a possibility that's why they were lost. So maybe there wasn't enough information about what I could do. So there's a number of questions that you can break were you lost down into. In fact, I can think of probably 10 to 20 just off the bat. But that's a lot. And that actually brings us to a great next point before I jump to that last question, which is you can ask as many questions as you want. But just like we're all students, we're probably going to stop paying attention after question 5. So the shorter it is, the better. So you have to be really deliberate about the questions that you're going to ask. And finally, did you feel safe attending this year? This is another question I think you should break down. This might be your target. Did people feel safe? And so break it down might be, I felt like I could leave my things out and nobody would steal it. Or you could add on another question saying, I felt safe staying overnight. Or I felt like I didn't feel safe staying overnight. Or I went home because I didn't feel safe. And so there's a number of different things that people could do depending on how they feel. Or it could be, I didn't feel comfortable talking to the workshop leads or organizers or mentors. And maybe you could say, explain. So maybe your question is, did you feel uncomfortable? Explain what it is that made you uncomfortable. But be mindful in asking this question that someone may not want to give you this information. In fact, they might feel really uncomfortable saying that they felt uncomfortable because it may not be anonymous, in which case definitely make hard questions anonymous and guarantee it. That's why this is anonymous, because it's really hard to come and ask difficult questions, which thank you so much for posting these. I'm really glad that you took the chance on me to ask me these questions. They're great questions because now you have a bit of a better idea on how you might target more directly and ask specific questions. So good for you. I'm very proud of you. Thank you so much for taking that chance. So we have just about 10 minutes because I want to leave some time for questions in case there are any. And if not, we'll jump to my encore bit. But let's move on to what we've been kind of skirting around all this time. In fact, we've danced around this topic up to this point. We got a little serious in the last activity, hinting at inappropriate questions. And so before we jump just into it, I want to remind you to make sure that you always check your questions with your team to make sure that you respect community members and volunteers. Because just because you might think something works, your team member might not. Everyone has different perspectives and value to add to a conversation. So, all right, ethics. Very important. I promise I won't make it too boring, but there's a lot of important stuff. So if the one memorable thing is this whole slide, that would be amazing. But try and do your best to take notes. So I mentioned earlier that tech is moving toward a data-driven society. And the data is everywhere. So if you combine those chords together, we do get ethics. But one misstep makes a bad or discordant sound. It's important to know that different countries have different privacy laws. Here in the US, we don't have GDPR, but many companies and websites, including Sunhacks, have had to add features to their website to accommodate GDPR's ruling. It's important to ensure that when you collect data, you know what your country, state, or province's data laws are. Because if you don't, you could get serious, expensive trouble with law enforcement because one person reports you or someone's data got leaked and you're the source. So since SunHex has gone hybrid, we do in fact follow GDPR. I do believe we probably need to check APAC region to make sure we respect their data privacy laws as well. But our stuff's still in progress, so hang tight on that one. On an individual basis, we have a duty to protect our community, which means if we're handling data, specifically personally identifiable information, there's that word again, or 3 words, which is information that can identify a person, we need to make sure that we sanitize or remove PII from what we're looking at. We also need to be mindful that we're looking at personal information that we might normally not have access to. You cannot, and I trust all y'all, but you cannot use this data for your own gain. That's like the biggest thing to keep in mind. But enough about you. Let's say a sponsor asks you for PII from your participants. Do you just send off the data? Well, if you have a question in your registration to determine who would like information shared with sponsors and who doesn't, the next question is, do you share all of it anyway? Absolutely not. But only share those answered yes. But here's another step to take before you even do that. Make sure the sponsor has the right to ask you too. Like maybe they've given you enough sponsorship to answer that question. When you think about it though, and what you could be sending them, is it safe to send them all the information, like their shirt size? Is it necessary? You might actually only send them the names and resumes of those who said yes to that question in registration. So we've managed that one. Okay, but what if that company wants to know the gender and race of your participants? Do you send them that straight ahead? Not quite. It's actually good to send that information in aggregate or summary, and therefore not attached to the names, addresses, phone numbers, none of it. So therefore, pie charts, bar charts, whatever descriptive statistics that remove PII from what you send is your way to go. You have power in your hands, and as you lead communities, it is your primary responsibility to lead accordingly, set good examples, and act in the interest of the whole community and its brand. Now, I should mention, you can still use PII like gender, race, age, and a number of other things, but you'll need to remove other PII like name, address, and phone number to ensure that you have no idea who the individual is and out of respect for them and their identity. No one should ever be doxxed just because they exist. In collecting data, you should also do due diligence to make sure that the data is kept safe. In research, the original data is often kept for a set amount of time. So let's say I'm doing a 3-year research project, I would keep it for 5 years. But there will also be an anonymized or sanitized version of the data that could be created and kept for an even longer time, maybe even 10 years if I'm doing a lot of studies on that data. But still, it'll be deleted, removed entirely as best as you can, because you can't just delete everything on the internet after that time has expired. In order to keep data safe, as I mentioned, keep it password protected and away from the public. Only keep it within your team if you're going to use it. So what happens if you want to publish this data? Aggregate data, summary, can be publicly shared because it's anonymized. But if you intend to do research on the data and publish it publicly, privately, or whatever, you need to get permission from your university's Institutional Review Board, the IRB, which manages what you can and can't research and how. They're kind of the moral police of research, which is good. We've had quite a few bad research instances across time, but we won't talk about that. But unfortunately, the data you've collected before you've gotten permission absolutely cannot be used. Data collected as approved by the IRB and after that point until the time limit of your study can be used for publication. But at the end of the day, respect the people who are giving you their thoughts, their opinions, and even their identities, their demographics. Protect them first. A truly welcoming community will only use purposeful data collection to answer specific questions and follow good data handling practices. Your university may actually have data privacy and security training, and taking that will inform you about how to be a good data wrangler. So we are a little bit out of time, so I'm going to rush through this one. You've gotten all this data, you want to know what you can do with it. Quantitatively, you can run statistics on it, so linear regression to see trends, predict things based on the demographics, like, oh, or maybe even, let's say, you've noticed that there's a really large group of freshmen that attend, and you want to know that they all respond to workshops really poorly. Maybe there's something wrong with your workshops. You can do a NOVA or t-test to understand the differences between groups of people. So maybe freshmen versus sophomores, they have a difference in understanding about the workshops. And maybe sophomores, for whatever reason, have a better experience. And so then you have qualitative, just kind of like literary analysis. Usually you'll use some form of thematic analysis, and there's plenty of other different ways to analyze stuff, just to clarify. Thematic analysis might be the most, not easy, the most straightforward, which is basically finding common themes across the free responses that you've given. So maybe for a workshop, you see a lot of people saying, I feel, better about coding. I feel super encouraged. You might notice that there's a common theme of just feeling more empowered. But then on the other hand, you might also notice that there's a number of responses that are like, I feel more scared about coding. I feel like I should quit. Then that means you might see that some workshops elicit feeling unsupported. So then you have mixed methods where you can combine the two together. So maybe you want to use qualitative to inform the quantitative study. So those workshops you were looking at, maybe you don't have enough numbers or something, but as you figure out, hey, I've noticed that freshmen are really struggling with these workshops. You can design a survey that collects quantitative information and see if you can understand on a broader scope, is this happening to all freshmen or is it a specific subgroup? Who knows? On the other hand, you can flip it around. Maybe you do have a quantitative study on workshops and you notice that everyone likes it, but maybe you want to understand why. So you might follow up with, explain your decision, and then you would analyze those using the thematic analysis I mentioned. Anyway, we are at the end, so we've got about 5 minutes for questions. If you have any questions after the fact, you want to reach out to me, you want me to give you advice on how to really get into designing surveys and figuring out stuff in your registration, feel free to contact me on Instagram or Twitter at halcyoncode, or check out my website and use any of the contact methods through there at halcyon.dev. And of course, I cannot end without doing this. Please, 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 we'd love to have you join as a volunteer or as a hacker, or even both, depending on if you're a judge. We'd love to have you at Hacks, and you can check us out on social media at sunhacks.io or our website at sunhacks.io. And that is all I've got. So let's jump over to go and see if there's questions. Let's see. We can have 2 separate type of shared data, demographics after the event as aggregate stats, name, contact, gold sponsor. This is very long. So can you explain, is this just asking if we can do this? Because you can do a lot with data. Or is this just you ideating in chat? I'm not quite sure. Any questions? Maybe not. Maybe yes. I'm going to be really awkward on screen then. That's okay too, I guess. Please don't make me do this. Ooh, I have a question for you. Oh, ideating. Got it. Okay. Right, I had a question for you. Rate on a scale of 1 to 5 how much you enjoyed my workshop. Where 5 is you really enjoyed it, and 1 is you think I should never do this. No, I'm kidding. Don't actually do that. 1 is it kind of wasn't great. Yay! Thank you, MLH. They've always got my back. 4.5. How'd I miss the 0.5? Some harsh score notes. Glad to have an opinion, and I respect it. No, Cat, that is true. I have Blahaj Shark. I can only do this to make up for it. Johnsar/Paul might be grabbing peanut. How do you politely deny a company sponsorship as they're data sharing asks for too much? You can actually probably respond really quickly with, oh my gosh, my brain just blanked. You would probably want participants, we cannot provide some information. We can provide it to you in an aggregate form, or maybe you could even say that that's something that you don't collect. So depending on what you do and don't collect, you would probably say, in the interest of our participants, we cannot provide this information. And you can just leave it at that. It leaves no room for argument, but it still shows that you care about your participants. Here's Peanut and Paul, our other Sunhacks organizer. All right, I think we're out of time, right?
Yes, I mean, I was coming on mostly to say we're out of time, but also to say hi to Peanut and also to thank you, Cecilia, for such a wonderful, informative workshop. We were already at a 5 out of 5, and with all these great questions and with the appearance of a cat on stream, I gotta say it's a 6 out of 5 at this point, in my personal opinion.
Excellent.
Well, thank you so much. Any final words for everyone before I turn it over to closing ceremonies?
Nope, just thank you for attending.
All right, thank you so much, Cecilia. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks for presenting.
Well.
All right, everybody. I don't know about you, but I very much enjoyed that presentation, pre-cat and during cat. The MLH team will tell you all I am the crazy cat lady of the team. So hit me up with your cat memes if you are the crazy cat person of your family or team. But before I get too far down that road, I want to turn it over to, I believe, John, to get us started with, believe it or not, our closing ceremony. Our weekend is coming to a close, and we're going to go out with a bang. John, I'll bring you on and you can take it away.
Hello.
Hello, John. How's it going?
Pretty good. How are you doing?
Not bad. This is fun. This was my first Hackcon, and I got to attend some workshops and some discussions and learn all about Blahaj memes, even more than I already knew. So I feel like it's been a really thorough weekend for me.
There's a lot of depth that you can get into with Blahaj. Way more than I ever would have imagined.
Well, because it's a shark, right? So, really deep.
Yes, definitely. I've never heard that one before, but that was good. We're going to be kicking off the closing ceremony in a couple minutes. I know both of the workshops went a little long, so we'll give people time to filter in here. While we're waiting, if anyone wants to post in chat some of their favorite things about Hackcon, we can feature it on stream and chat about it. And then we'll kick off the closing ceremony in just a couple of minutes. I see one here. Is this Cecilia? I think it might be. Wearing shark PJs for their talk? Great. Awesome. I don't have shark PJs, but that sounds incredible. Aaron says that Amanda has the fire emoji Blahaj memes.
I need my own. I'm still an MLH newbie. I have not yet gone on a quest to get my own Blahaj, but it will happen. I promise.
Soon enough. All right, let's see. Is that Robo? It's from Robo Hacks. I don't remember where this came from. Some family member got it for me as a birthday gift one year. It's kind of just like an old toy robot. There's all these annotations on it. You can't really see it on screen, but it's pretty cute. Let's see, what else do we have? Used to wear them during Sunhacks to make sure mentors could find them. Great. Good way to stand out in a crowd. Okay, there's a challenge here. Amanda, buy a Blahaj on stream. Are you willing to do that?
So I am willing to do that. The only reason I haven't bought one online yet is that I'm in New York and we have a million IKEAs in very close proximity, and so I wouldn't want to. I sort of wanted to go on a physical adventure to get my Blahaj, but I'm willing to do that if y'all would like.
What do you think, Jack?
Jacqueline says do it.
Ryan is very much aware of your many IKEAs. Yep, that sounds about right.
I think he's cleared. That might be the problem with my plan to do a physical adventure. Is I think he might have cleared out the entirety of New York City's physical Blahajes. I may need to order them directly from Sweden. I don't know. We're gonna have to see.
Rosenda says his favorite part of MLH was Nori's MLH t-shirt. Sorry, favorite part of Hackcon. I agree. That was really cute. Emoji painting is laughing at John's failed attempt to hide putting a tree. So what actually happened, I don't know if anyone observed this, but there was a different plant here yesterday. And
I wondered if I was going crazy. Okay, you did have a different
yeah,
plan.
and I realized that it was dying because it got too much sunlight here, and so we swapped it out. It's not really meant to be blocking that. That's kind of incidental to where I was able to place it, but you know, it is a different plant. Mary would like to go to IKEA with you, Amanda. I would
I'm so
also
down
go.
with this plan. I
Yeah.
feel like we should organize a pilgrimage.
An MLH pilgrimage to the Brooklyn one.
We're gonna have other new people on the team too, so we're just gonna have to call them in advance and see how much stock they have, and just like
Yep.
make this happen.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I always have a soft spot for the meatballs too. I love IKEA meatballs. Let's see. What else do we got here in chat? This chat's going fast. This deserves a Twitch poll. No, it does not. Let's see. The poll says you should buy one on stream. I feel like that is very much subjective. Who dares vote no to Amanda buying a Blahaj on stream? I mean, we could. You could get multiple Blahajes, like Ryan. Ryan has quite a few. Maybe Ryan will share one. Maybe we don't need to buy more.
This is true.
Meatball
I love the idea of a meatball pilgrimage. Unfortunately I have a dietary restriction. I can't eat the IKEA meatballs anymore. And when I realized that made me so sad.
That is very sad. I also am being told to check Slack. Ryan does not share a Blahaj. It looks like there was was there actually a poll? Did I miss this poll? Oh man.
I mean, did you actually think there wasn't? I was certain that there was.
Yeah. Wow. Well, we're still waiting for a couple more people to filter in here. Ryan does not share Blahaj. I don't know about that. You can join Blahaj Gang at blahaj.lol/discord. MLH needs to give its employees a Blahaj work from home fund. It's been shown to increase productivity by 300%. That does explain why Ryan's so productive. He has maybe 10 Blahajes, so he's 3,000% more productive than me. Let's see. Oh man, we have a lot of good comments. Does anyone have any comments about what they thought of Hackcon beyond the Sharks? We will gladly feature those on stream. 10 Blahajes. Ryan has 10 Blahajes. Wow. I do appreciate Blahaj Gang's ability to hijack any live stream. They have an incredible passion for sharks. Ryan has 19 Blahajes. Sorry, that was a typo, not 10, 19. Alrighty, well, was there anything to Hackcon beyond the Sharks? I sincerely hope so. I feel like a lot of people put a lot of time and effort into those talks that were not shark-focused. There was one good shark-focused talk as well, but a lot of really incredible non-Blahaj-related content. Major League Sharking. Okay, on that note, I think we're going to move on to closing ceremony. Thank you, Amanda.
Thanks, everybody.
I look forward to our pilgrimage.
Oh, it's happening. I guarantee you. All right. Bye, everybody. Happy closing ceremonies.
Alrighty, folks. Well, this is the saddest part of Hackcon. We are going to be doing our closing ceremonies. If I play the music, does it create echo for anyone, or is it nice? Are we good? Can someone comment in chat if they like the music or if it's creating weird echoes? Okay. Thank you. I really appreciate the vote of confidence. No one has ever spoken positively about my dancing before, so that's great. Wow, a real comment about Hackcon. I got to learn a lot about diversity and inclusion, and a lot of talks and discussion efforts were put into it. I completely agree. We had some incredible live coding from Joe, learning about the Friday night deployment of Twilio Quest. Okay, I'm going to dive in here because we have some more time during the talk to share your comments. So, a reminder for everyone, if you don't remember, I'm John, co-founder of Major League Hacking, joining you live from balmy New York City. I am at JohnMarkGo on every social media platform if you want to follow me. And I believe this is my 10th Hackcon. I am so excited to be here. At the beginning of Hackcon, the challenge I gave you in the opening ceremony was to talk to people you don't know. And we saw a lot of you take on that challenge this weekend. I saw a lot of really incredible discussions, comments in chat. even people participating in workshops and text channels. Comment in Twitch what your favorite moments were, and I will feature them on stream. Okay, Shrikaron loved the marbles on stream. JP was pretty fire, not gonna lie. I completely agree. Deepo TWV is going to be contributing to Twilio Quest. I am now a Twilio Quest developer. Thank you, Hackcon. Thank you, Joe Nash. I am indeed John Adam. Thank you. Let's see, what else do we got here? Your favorite moments from Hackcon. Wish it was an in-person event. That would have been nice, but you know, I thought it was quite a good virtual event as well. Favorite moment was the talk about community building. I loved the talk about community building as well. Mary loved all of the lightning talks. There were a lot of really incredible lightning talk presenters out there. They put a lot of time and energy in. And we're going to be publishing those on our YouTube channel after Hackcon is over. So if you missed any, you can find them once it's over, once we have time to edit them. I liked annoying Ryan at 1 a.m. in a voice chat. That sounds like a great experience. Ryan may have enjoyed it less, though. Let's see, what else do we got? Favorite moments of Hackcon. Manya and Daria's discussions were amazing. Thank you, Aditya. Twilio Quest was epic. I love Twilio Quest. It's a really great both learning activity and game. John's t-shirt with Swift's name. Wow, that is a deep cut there. You know, I have to rep the brand. Swift is an incredible brand, both a programming language and founder. Aditya's talk was absolute fire. Technica's hackathon hosting platform was super sweet. Shout out. Can't believe John is not fired. Well, sorry. Sashrika's discussion was amazing. I am sure it is. Sashrika is incredible. Let's see, what else do we got here? Any other favorite moments from this weekend before I move on in the closing? This is your last chance to delay Hackcon from being over. Oh, man. Anything else? Going once. Going twice. Okay, we're going to move on here. Someone said, whoops. Cecilia's talk was great. I completely agree. I got to watch that one. Slideshow karaoke was also awesome. Now we are going to move on in our closing, unfortunately. So, psych, this is not the last thing for you to do. We have one more challenge for you before you leave Hackcon. You are going to write a letter to your future self, and we're going to send it off to you after the event. So we want you to ask yourself, what do you want to do after Hackcon? What do you want to take from Hackcon and the rest of your life? What do you want to bring to the next hacker event you host? And what fun memories from Hackcon do you want to remember? This is a really nice letter you're going to write to yourself when you're still riding the high of Hackcon, and we're going to send it off to you at the date that you request, perhaps before your next hackathon. So you're going to take those questions, go to hackpack/letter. You're going to fill out a form there. You can earn points for your Color Wars team by doing this. This is your last chance to earn points. You'll request a specific date for that letter to go out, and you'll answer all of the questions. And then we will send it out to you at a future scheduled date. You can take all of that energy you gain from Hackcon and give it to yourself when you're feeling stressed about your next hacker event. So we're going to give you all a couple of minutes there to fill this out. Again, hackpack/letter with these questions. And this will be the last activity of Hackcon. I'm going to add this up on stream here. All right. So write yourself your letter, fill out the form, and you will earn points for your Color War Guild. And you will also, Color War team, go red. And then you will also get that letter sent to you at a specific date in future. We recommend sending it to yourself a couple days before your next event, maybe a hackathon, so that you have some hype to go into that with. Take all of the hype of Hackcon and save it for later. I agree, the worst part of Hackcon is that it's ending. It's very sad. I'll just dance here while y'all are filling out the letters. We're going to give it a second. Yes, boogie down session with John while y'all write your letters. I'll give it a couple more minutes here for y'all to write. I think my favorite part of Hackcon is the lo-fi chill study beat or whatever this is. Okay, just another minute here. Sadly, I see his comment here, but I don't actually have a link to the playlist. I think Will put it together. You can ask him in Discord. Okay, we're going to give this one more minute before we continue with our closing. Are you all writing the letters? The link is on the bottom there. It's hackpack, I'll post in chat, /letter. Make sure you submit that to get points for your color war team. Go red. Looks like we only have one response so far, but there's 50 of you on the stream. So make sure you go ahead and submit that letter. If you're still working on it, comment in chat so I know to wait a little bit longer. Someone needs one more minute. Okay, I will give you some more time. Remember, this is your last chance to win points for your Color War team. You can submit it whenever you want, Adam, but you will only get points if you do it in the next couple of minutes, because I am going to announce the winner of the Color War team at the end of this presentation, so stay tuned for that. I'll give folks a couple more minutes. We're not really in a rush here. I'm just chilling and vibing and whatever the kids say these days. The MLH TikTok is just going to be me with slide decks dancing to lo-fi chill beats. Yes, I agree. MLH, MLH, MLH. Oh, wow, that's a really old logo. We need to update that. Thank you for being a subscriber, by the way. I think that's subscriber-only emoji. You can unlock it temporarily with points, too. Okay. Well, that's okay. Yes, use the old MLH logo emoji. We really need to update that. If Swift was here, he'd be very angry. It's off-brand. Comment if you need more time in chat. That was a weird like child's voice or something in the music there. That was bizarre. Okay. You know what? Oh, Nick actually posted in the Hackcon announcements channel how to submit the letter here. Let's see. What do you want to take from Hackcon into the rest of your life? Is that child's voice the fairy from Zelda? Does anyone know? Yeah, it is. Okay. Thank you for confirming that. Okay, I think we're going to move on in our presentation now. If you have not finished your letter, that's totally fine. You can go to Hackcon announcements channel, and we posted the questions there as well as the link to submit it. But this is your last chance to get it in if you want Color War theme points. Ah, the famed cup stacking emoji. I'm pretty sure I made that one myself in Photoshop. If you didn't know what it is, it's not a pyramid. It is in fact a cup stacking emoji. Alrighty, folks, we're going to move on in our closing here. Okay, but your letter email is not all you're going to get after Hackcon. There is also swag. So, how do you get swag? I know I've explained this a couple of times, but I can still tell from looking at the forum that not everyone has done it. You need to do a couple of things. You need to check in for the event at hackpack/hackcon check-in. You also need to get your Discord role. Go to discord.mlh.io and go to the Join Hackcon channel to get your Hackcon role, and then you will get stickers and swag from the event sent to you. But if you want more than stickers, you can still buy a swag ticket. This is based on everyone's request from last year. We will be keeping swag tickets open for at least another hour or so, I think. So you can go to hackcon.mlh.io to buy your swag pack. So everyone who registered and checks in gets a sticker pack and a letter. You can buy a $25 swag pack, or you can buy a $50 swag pack with your member event jacket. That's for people who have organized either a member event hackathon, a local hack day guild, or local host events throughout the year. What does the $25 swag ticket get you? That is a really good question that I don't know the answer to off the top of my head. Maybe Mary or someone wants to comment in chat. So that's hackcon.mlh.io to secure your swag pack. You still have time to do it, but either way, make sure you check in for the event and check in on Discord so that we know you are actually here so we can send you your free swag. If we don't know you're here, you're not going to get swag. Alrighty. If you want to stay connected to MLH, you can follow us on Instagram or Twitter at MLHacks. And then you can go on Facebook, Major League Hacking. We're using hashtag Hackcon this weekend. Be sure to post about your experience, share it, and we will probably reshare it from our accounts. Mary says that the swag, if I want to go back here, the $25 swag is a mug and t-shirt. The $50 swag includes a jacket as well. That's pretty exciting. Alrighty. Stay connected on socials. And of course, Hackcon would not be possible without our incredible sponsors. Many of you attended their workshops and sessions over the weekend. Thanks to Rich from DevPost for teaching us how to use DevPost yesterday. Check them out for your submission platform for your hackathons. Thanks to Kevin from Orbit for teaching us about how to build sustainable, long-term, and trackable hacker communities. Thanks to Joe from Twilio and Lizzie for showing us how to use Twilio Quest to build hacker community on campus. And of course, last but not least, thanks to Evan from Brandmakers, who makes all of MLH's swag and perhaps is producing some custom Lahaj swag, if I'm reading all of the Discord conversations correctly. But now, can we get a drum roll in Twitch for who won Color Wars? Oh man, this is the moment you've all been waiting for. I've actually received a letter from the authorities telling me about swag. Sorry, telling me about who won Color War. I'm Team Red, so I'm a little bit biased, but I have to go by what the letter says. Are y'all ready? Should I tell you who won Color Wars? I was mailed a letter by courier overnight explaining who won Color Wars. We have a lot of drum rolls here. Who do y'all think won? Aditya thinks it's green. Indigo Wizard thinks it's blue. I think it must be red. It certainly must be red. What do y'all think? I think that means yellow, maybe? I don't know. We have a lot of votes in chat here. Okay, I'm going to open the letter. Let's see. What does it say? Oh, man. We have an upset here. Unexpected victory. We have Blue Team. Oh, man. Congratulations, Blue. You won Color Wars here at Hackcon 9. Red didn't win. The ranking behind Blue is yellow, green, and then red, it looks like. So congratulations to Blue. I'm so sorry my red team came in last. That was incredibly disappointing. Maybe it's because I failed you all at marbles. It was a difficult run. Go Team Blue. Congratulations. Y'all did amazing work this weekend. Okay, so now you might be wondering, what happens after Hackcon? What should you do now? Well, the most important thing to remember is that Hackcon is not just about the weekend. It's about the relationships that you built here, which don't end. I can tell a lot of you have made new friends, made new connections, learned a ton from each other. Stay connected with each other on discord.mlh.io. You're all on there already, so you can chat, talk about planning your next events, talk about building your communities, and ask questions to all of our amazing speakers from all over the world. They have a lot of really important things to share with you. We also encourage you to attend each other's events. The best way to learn what's great in the hacker community is by going to lots of events. So find other people's hackathons, workshops, offer to be a mentor, offer to support them, attend MLH events, and continue to ask each other for advice along the way. Our community is stronger because of each of you in it. I am so honored that you all chose to spend your weekend with us here at Hackcon. Thank you so much for being part of the MLH community. Thank you for all of the work you do to build your own local communities. And of course, thank you to the Hackcon organizing team, especially Mary and Ryan and Emily and everyone else who was involved with making this event happen. I know I was the face you saw most on stream, but I was not the most involved in making Hackcon happen. So be sure to give a shout out to the team who put Hackcon on for you. We hope to see you next year. This was an incredible Hackcon. I had an amazing time. I hope you all did too. And happy hacking, everyone. I'll dance you off while we finish here. Woo! Thanks, Hackcon.